Hi, happy you're here. Get comfy and let's get started. Sit at My Grave, Season 2, Reflections, Chapter 20. Later that night, after Amory had gone and Arden lay down to rest, he could still hear those words echoing in his brain. Somehow, Amory trying to make peace with them hurt worse than her hating him. Arden turned to the side, clinging the blanket onto himself. Renly, Verna, Amory, Gallant, and his entire family were being so kind to him, so understanding, so sympathetic. It made him sick. It was his fault. He screwed up everyone's lives. And as hard as he was trying to fill Reed's shoes, he always seemed to slip and fall, making everyone else lift him up again. He hated it. But apart from that, other things stuck with him from that conversation. He wasn't prepared to dig more into Reed's past right then, so he let his mind focus on other bits that piqued his curiosity, and he couldn't tell if it was his paranoia in that moment or a warning. You aren't on your own time anymore. Not if you want Reed, just as you lost him, were the last thoughts in his brain as he drifted off to sleep. "Aw, no, honey, it's okay," Renly said sympathetically. "You tried your best, dear. Life's about learning from our errors," Verna chimed in. Arden, tired of the hired, fired consistency and rejection of job hunting, had stayed home one day, mostly keeping his mind busy by doing more of his research. He was intent on zeroing in on information about the Kyoto Kufar Ippuku, but also trying to keep himself useful around the house. Arden had gave a try at fixing dinner. His grandmother had been busy with calling people to fix up old things around the house, setting up Wi-Fi and doing repairs they couldn't do, while his mother had been out working and trying to pay bills. It turned out to be more difficult than he thought it was, and he ended up burning the casserole he'd been baking. What made matters worse was by the time he smelled it, he was holding the salad bowl, and quickly placing it on the counter to run back and check the stove resulted in it teetering off the edge and spilling all across the floor. "It could have happened to anyone," Renly tried again. She placed a comforting hand on Arden's shoulder. "But it keeps happening to me," Arden snappily replied. Renly pulled away. She tried to keep that sorry smile on her face, but the air felt tense. Everyone standing there unsure of what to say. "I'll clean all this up," Verna finally spoke. She leaned down, placing the dustpan at an angle with her broken bowl and spilled over veggies. "Oh, Mom, let me," Renly offered, coming over. "You've been working all day, dear. You need a break," Verna told her, placing a gentle hold on Renly's face, giving her a soft smile. The look in her eyes told Renly she meant that in more ways than one. She smiled back, placing her hand over her mother's. "We can do it together," she decided. She'd been thrown out into the dark, and as much as she wanted saving, she couldn't see herself letting someone else pick up all of her slack. Not again. Arden stood there awkwardly, watching Renly and Verna clean his mess. They threw out the overly burnt casserole and proceeded to clean all the spills and dirty dishes he created. In some ways, he was offended. In others, he felt the shrinking feeling of being in Reed's shoes again. Reed would have done the repairs so they wouldn't have to pay more people to do it. Reed, even if he couldn't cook dinner, would have brought them something to eat. Reed wouldn't let Renly push herself so hard every day, being so emotionally exhausted. He would have handled everything. Should we order something?" Arden suggested after a bit of watching them clean. "My purse is hanging on the coat rack," Renly told him, keeping her focus on her chores. Arden walked over to grab it, using his phone to start looking up places to order from. He tried hard to just focus on what he was doing, but he felt waved off by Renly. Was it his fault? He was trying so hard and it was never enough. Sure, she was working, but the things he was studying were far more important and stressful. Stop it, Arden thought to himself. That way of thinking was exactly how he was before Reed was. Arden tried to shake out of it and just order the food. "It's getting better," he convinced himself again. It wasn't long before Arden found himself facing another challenge. He'd been swamping himself in little projects, constantly journaling and trying to figure out where all these tiny leads were taking him. He didn't realize what time it was until it was upon him. Him and the McKinneys were going to drop Gallant off at his university. Originally, Renly was meant to go, but couldn't afford traveling that far from work. A flight there would have taken far less time, but The Kennys wanted that time to be all together and just talk and laugh with each other. This was a big move for everyone. They were a close family, and having a part leave for such a long time, it certainly wouldn't feel normal for either party. Arden felt isolated while they reminisced memories together. They didn't make him feel like a stranger at all. As far as the McKinneys were concerned, Arden was family too. They assumed he'd be just as sad with Gallon leaving as them. It was his fault. Arden couldn't tell if he was zoning out on purpose or not. He found himself withdrawing every time someone wasn't talking directly to him. He felt agitated with the whole thing. Why does he need to go to college to teach kids? He knows more than they do, Arden thought bitterly. He watched Gallon laughing with his baby sister, telling jokes, making her giggle. He couldn't even pay attention to what they were talking about. His eyes shot daggers at his friend. He seemed so happy about it too, while he felt so miserable. They had to get on the road early. The sun wasn't even out when they left, just to get there in a somewhat decent time. They all went through cycles of falling asleep, Genesis and Declan taking turns driving. Gallon had offered to give them both a break, but they turned him down, wanting him to just relax on the way there. Together, they witnessed the quiet eeriness of peace in the early morning, the beauty of the sun rising, and the bustle of routine start. "Son," Declan spoke. His voice was a bit gravelly. He was on his shift of driving while his wife and daughter slept. They must have assumed Arden was sleeping too. "College is going to be a lot different from high school," Declan began. "I know, the work will be harder," Gallon agreed, chuckling lightly. "That's not what I mean. It'll be like stepping into a different world," Declan told him. He held a certain sternness in his voice, only briefly glancing at his son. "A different world? Dad, I've always been good about my grades and not getting too distracted. It'll be fine," Gallon assured him, still sounding very calm about the whole idea. Declan frowned, yet he didn't seem angry. "Gallon, you won't have me and Mom at arm's reach anymore. You'll have to stand on your own and make a lot of tough decisions. I'm not only talking about the work there," Declan explained a bit. "Do you mean the people? I'm not worried about that either. I've never had any problems getting along with people. I don't know why you and Mom are so worried about me," Gallon soothed. "I don't doubt your ability to be kind to people. Heck, I would have been friends with you if we knew each other in school," Declan said with a laugh. Gallon looked at him. "Well, I'd like to think we're friends now, too," Gallon said, smiling at his father. Declan reached over, putting an arm around him, pulling his son forward to a hug. "We are," Declan said as he let Gallon go. "But I'm your dad first, and my priority is to make sure you're safe, even if I'm not beside you. Gallon, you're an upstanding young man. You're honest, kind, and loyal, and I'm proud of just who you are as a person, without even listing off your academic qualities." Declan spoke earnestly. Gallon didn't take his eyes off his father as he spoke to him. Joking was fun, but by his tone, he knew he was being serious with him now. "Thanks, Dad. I'll try not to disappoint everyone," Gallon whispered timidly. "Just keep being you. You'll never disappoint us," Declan smiled at him. The pressure of doing well was more like an excited push forward in the right direction for Gallon. He was nervous to mess up, but falling was easy to do with hands like those to catch him. "Just be careful. There will be people who just need kindness and patience, and people who have bad intentions. Stay focused, have an open heart, but don't allow yourself to become a target for it. You got it?" Declan clarified. He stopped at a red light and took that opportunity to look Gallon in the eyes. No doubt his son tried to do the right thing regardless of temptation. He wasn't stupid, but that big heart around certain people had always worried him. Gallon nodded his head, swallowing a lump in his throat. "I'll be okay," he promised. Arden heard bits of the conversation as he drifted on and off to sleep. By the time they got to the place, it was later in the evening, setting sun enveloping the buildings and treetops. "Wow, that place looks like a castle! Gallon, are you going to be a knight?" Genevieve asked excitedly. She looked up at the college as they drove up the long driveway. It was lined with trees, the changing colors of leaves shimmering in the sun. The tanned and white brick of this pristine building did look majestic from where they sat. It wasn't anything like they were used to. The school's flags waved proudly in front of the yard, and hundreds of windows shined in the sun's light. Oh, honey, this is your brother's new school, Genesis said, pointing at the place. Oh. Gallon, are you gonna ride a horse here? Can you teach me? She said excitedly, bouncing in her seat. Jenny, there are no horses here. I don't think, Gallon said, looking up at the place himself. He felt a quiver of intimidation go through him. It's cool, isn't it? He mentioned to Arden. It's alright, Arden replied, trying not to gawk at the place like Gallon's family. Although, looking at how big it was and sitting there with them while they all talked about it, the feeling of losing his friend was really starting to set in. After this, they wouldn't be able to see each other that quickly. And although this is what Gallon wanted, Arden wasn't sure he was ready to lose someone else